Hey, yo, what's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to the NDA Podcast. Rob D, aka Sketchcraft. How y'all doing? How you doing today? Doing good? Hope so. It's almost Friday. Today's Thursday. So what's the NDA Podcast? Well, that's where me, Rob, Sketchcraft, I draw stuff. I can't stream. Now, I'm working on Spawn Kills Every Spawn. Comes out this summer. Limited series. You should buy it. It's a good comic. Good comic. But if I shared that with you, I'd get fired and in trouble. We can't do that. So while I'm working, behind me, I'm going to play a video of some art I made in the past, sped up. This case, it's going to be a Psylocke Copic commission I did for my buddy Johnny Cook back in 2015. So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting. Let's go check this out. I'm going to put on Little Rob here. There goes Little Rob. Let's turn this on. Ready for it? Ready for it? Let's time it to the music. Let's do it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boosh. Hey, there we go. The little heads up, I had done the pencils separately and then scanned them in, printed them out like in a purpley ink, and then did a couple color tests to figure out how I want to do the skin tone, see? And then, yeah. I don't actually work quite this way anymore, but this was a fun way to work at the time. If you don't know how to get your values very well with Copics or markers, you can definitely do this. May have gone too streaky on the skins and stuff. Now I would smoothen all that out with color pencil and everything, but still a fun process to watch. I did a Copic version and a digital version. The exact same pose because I wanted to see what I could do. Time I was trying all sorts of stuff. This is 11 by 17, by the way. That's a big commission. All right, I'm gonna get to work. So I had a fun night last night. I got a comment. By the way, if you're watching on the YouTubes, watching on the Facebooks, leave a comment and a like, free. And by the way, it's how the algos deem your show worthy of sharing. So if you want to help support me, help get the word out, if you leave a comment, you can leave anything. You'd be like, this sucks. That's great. I don't mind that. I don't mind negative comments. I do have a problem with stalkers. And last night I got a comment from a guy I had blocked a while back. I don't know. I blocked psychos. And this dude was just like, you blocked me on another platform. You're not a good person. You know, you don't like my political beliefs. And I'm like, okay. So there's 6 billion people, 8 billion people on the planet. There's probably 2 billion artists, maybe a billion. I don't know. Go hang out with them. If I block you and you follow me, man, then like that's stalking. That's weird. But I don't mind negative comments. I do mind stalkers, so be constructive. So, but any comment will do. And I know it bothered him, so I blocked him again. It's petty. It's petty. I should have just replied, Mom. Yes, you're generally my go-to reply for people like that, because my mom wasn't the most encouraging person in the world. But you know, I saw it like right before I went to sleep, and I was like, I don't got time for this. It's too late. You know. It's all good though. It's all good. I'm sure he'll make another sock puppet account and complain about me, and then I'll leave that one up. I don't think I've heard the last from that psycho. But I do feel for those people who have folks who harass and follow them around the internet. I empathize. I get it. Hey, Kuya. Yeah, I watched X-Men 97 the morning it came out, actually. I get up early, so... Yeah, I loved it. That was fantastic. I stand by. They should put the... animation people in charge of the live action story and development and all that stuff. Yeah. Obviously, you still need someone with live action experience directing the stuff, but in terms of planning out big multi-arc stories and, you know, characters using their powers and all that stuff, I really think those animation divisions are doing a fantastic job across the board, both from the What If and the X-Men side. Who's my favorite X-Men character? I mean, I like Cable. I'm a James Cameron guy, so you know, injecting that Terminator vibe into X-Men, I always liked. You know, Wolverine's great, obviously. I like Blink. I think Blink's my Blink. I love Blink. I love the Age of Apocalypse storyline. And I like the version of Morph that's in Age of Apocalypse too. It's probably my favorite version of Morph. A little bit more like Plastic Man meets Jim Carrey. But if I had to pick from the OG, it'd be Magneto. I like Magneto. I like a villain who you're like, I get where he's coming from, even though he's wrong. Hard to disagree. Yeah. And I thought was it Holocaust, the one in Age of Apocalypse, the guy in the big round with the skeleton and the big glass case. I think his name was Holocaust. I thought he was really cool too. He never really appeared much. I like the Age of Apocalypse storyline. It's not just because I'm from the 90s. God Loves Man Kills is still my favorite X-Men story of all time, but for a big event thing, I think Age of Apocalypse is that one that you could keep reinventing and it would get stronger and stronger, you know? Like, they made Sabretooth into a hero. Like, that should not work. And it worked, you know? Yeah, Sabretooth was a hero because it's a world where Xavier died and he's on the X-Men. He has a sidekick called Wild Child. There's like a really thin version of him. It's like on a chain. Yeah. Yeah, Sabretooth's a good guy in that story. Wolverine and Jean are together and he's got one hand. And that's where the whole Rogue in love with the Magneto storyline comes from. They're married, they have a kid and stuff. Like, they're leading the X-Men. She has that whole like Ghost in the Shell design. Joe Mad gave her that Masamune Shiro look, and Magneto has like long hair with tassels. It's pretty dope. Pretty great. Some great designs. Really great designs. Now I'm drawing pistols. Pistols, pistols, pistols. And I came up with a design for the pistols, but I only drew them like one other time. And I was like, I don't know how I did that. How did I do that? Continuity matters. Too high. Merge it. Oh. Where am I at on the video? Ooh. Yeah, I was using B marker paper on that. And I think if you want something a little less streaky, like I use this Hammer Mill 100 pound now for craft paper. But, yeah. The rendering on this was a little streaky. I have a totally different way of drawing faces now, so fun to watch. So I went and saw Ghostbusters today, Frozen Empire. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it does not deserve a 44% tomato meter. It's probably like a 76% tomato meter. You know, it was directed by the guy who did Monster House, so it's got that kind of flavor to it, a little bit more of a family film. But like, you know, and it doesn't really capture New York very well. But it's not a 44% film. I just think people are being... We live in a time now, I think people are just expecting more. And I think had this been directed by Jordan Peele or even J.J. Abrams, you would have gotten something a little bit more spectacle-y, I guess maybe would be the word, or grounded in some way. So like it's somewhere in between. It's closer to like a good Marvel film, not a great one, but a good one. You know, like it's not a bad, but I could leave this on while I'm working. You know, so look, I like the creator, and everyone's like, "Oh, the movie sucks." I'm like, I don't know what sucks mean to you, but I grew up with films like The Phantom and you know, the Flintstones movie. So, you know. And I'm not a fan of Ghostbusters 2. I think it's a better film than Ghostbusters 2. But your mileage may vary. I think David Yates might even be a good pick for this sort of stuff. The guy who directed the Harry Potter films and stuff. That blend of like magic and the real world. Appreciate this guy getting his chance to direct a live action film. I'm a huge fan of Monster House and Rob Schrab and all that. But same time, it's like, I think had this been like an 8-episode Netflix series, same story, it would have played a lot better. But theater was somewhat packed. I'd say 70% full. You know, for 2 p.m. Johnny. Hey! Thank you for the moolahs, my friend. Yeah, I know. Johnny bought this. Yeah, I don't really draw quite the same way anymore with it. Here's nice, you know, a little shiny. That's how it goes. Doing grows. I mean, it's kind of funny. A lot of guys who go cartoony tend to get more realistic, and I've gotten more cartoony in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I still have like not like I do Adventure Time cartoony, you know. I guess like 90s style cartoon. I guess. Johnny says, a little bit I got Psylocke, but it's also Rob's Psylocke. The details like the bottoms of the boots, and the end of the belt ribbons and beads on the thigh straps. All neat add-on. Yeah, I think I was going for like a Disgaea feel with their ribbon. Got that like sticky hand feel. That's sort of my MO and everything. Like, I try to take, you know, something that's clearly a part of the costume, but then find a way to add a little something or change a little something so it still is that, but it's not, you know, the same exactly one-to-one that you'd always get. Like, I'm doing that right now on like some of the other spawns, you know, like this is how they look like in the book, but here's where I add that little difference. Beyond just how I draw, like, I'll add something. You hope that, you know, the people in charge don't go, that's not how they are in the model. It's like, yeah, but they are when I draw it. So, hey, what's up, Lauren? Our friend from our Aussie friend from Perth. Is it Perth? Is it near Perth? Right, love. How you doing? We're watching old raw videos while I work on Spawn. Thanks, Lauren. It's 2015. Lauren asked me also your artboards you customize just standard print or use a special ink to avoid ink? No, it's just I print it right on the paper. I recommend getting a Workforce. I have a 7. I'll send you the link, but it's a Workforce printer. It's got a 11 by 17 scanner built into it. It's like $250 American. I don't know what it is in your country, but it uses pigmented ink, so it's waterproof. So you can paint on it and it don't bleed. Perth. I know. I love them Master Chef when they go around Perth. On a Perth. The WA. All that stuff. I love that. Love Master Chef Australia. Make it extra. Johnny says, make it extra. I see so much good art at cons, but so many artists are doing things to comic or anime spec. And they just don't stand out when your eyes dart through the eye. Yeah, they're just copying what they see, you know, to like, I drew something. Like, yeah, but did you sell them on you? You know, like, how do I know who you are? You know, I've always been that way. Like, always add a little bit of your own voice. You know, especially when, like, I mean, especially if it's your own stuff. Like, I get if you took a job and you're gonna be part of the crew, you know, I understand that. But, you know, if you're not putting your own spin on it, then what are you really bringing to the table? I mean, really. Like, one of the things that I constantly do is I'm always drawing center lines on my figures and clothes and stuff when they don't really exist in the fabric or in real life. I draw center lines so you know where the center is. You know, and I just work that into my line style. And it helps make it feel more three-dimensional, even though, you know, it's still a flat drawing. So even if the colorist, you know, let's say, or when you color it, if whether you were the colorist, you know, but let's say when it's colored, if you color a little flat, it'll still feel three-dimensional. I don't add it everywhere, but I'll add it here and there, you know. Sometimes it doesn't work. I've found on fingers, sometimes it looks good, sometimes it don't. So I'm still like adjusting that. I've gotten way more comfortable with adding like spotting blacks, you know. But that's because I draw through everything first and then I spot blacks. So kind of the way Mignola used to do it in the late 80s, early 90s. Just don't shorthand. I draw through the whole thing and then spot blacks. I just like knowing the drawing works. And then if I need to black it out, we can black it out. The center lines are great. You can use them as seams on clothing if you know how to do it right. You know, like you can set it up so it kind of looks like you're drawing seam lines. You don't have to always connect. You can just put a little here, a little there. You know, leave it open. That's another thing I've tried to do over the last couple years is work on leaving certain lines open. I think probably a person who's great at that is Derek LaFuente. Like he's really good at how to leave an open line. You know? Johnny says, your hands are so crazy. Well, oh, thank you. The hands. Yeah, Johnny was there when I first started trying oven mitts. Oven mitt hands. They work great for cartoonier characters. Yeah, I want to go with oven mitts. Man, I mean, I don't do it for every character now, you know? Like, I did for a couple years, just constantly do it to see where it would work, you know? So now I know when to do thinner, slimmer hands, when to do oven mitts, when to do creepy, you know, Tim Burton-y hands. And always, to honor the great Rob Schrab, pinkies out. Pinkies out. When hands are going, pinkies out. When you see pinkies out on my art, that's me honoring Rob Schrab. Pinkies out. By the way, if you love Scud, go check out Uncle Jerk's channel on YouTube, and he's got a nice 2-hour interview with Rob Schrab. Really good. I mean, Roman, who's Uncle Jerk, he did a really good 3-part or 4-part like Scud like documentary a few years back. And Rob Schrab loved it so much he went on his show this week and did an interview. Highly recommend listening to that if you're a fan of Scud. Even if you're not, go check it out. As an artist, I think there's always something to learn, you know? And Rob right now is writing on Rick and Morty, so it's not like he's irrelevant, you know? He actually co-wrote and I think directed Monster House with Gil Keenan, who just did the Ghostbusters. Johnny says, mine has always had the index finger sticking out. Oh, index fingers. Good one, Johnny. Good one. Proud Penguin says, Sketchcraft, remember your artwork was featured on some GameStop magazine covers. Maybe the video game mashup. I know the 78 Final Fantasy VII cover. I did. I drew a cover for them. I want to say it was like, I think it was 297, 296 around there. Yeah. It was for, they did a top 100 RPGs of all time. So I managed to work in 75 or so of those under the cover somehow, you know? While not just making it a wall of characters, I tried to alternate the sizes of the characters versus just doing like a bunch of giant heads or bodies that fill the page, you know? So, fun challenge. Had like a week to do it, drawn in color. But they were nice, man. They left me alone. I think the lighting scheme was the one thing. I gave them an alternate sunset-y lighting scheme, and they wanted something. They wanted like, you know, the one that I went with. But yeah, Game Informer. And I've done magazine covers. Again, I used to work at Play Magazine, Girls of Gaming, Game Fan, 2010, 2011, and Retro Magazine, and La Game Magazine, which was a gaming magazine in France. I did a couple things for them. And There's one other one I'm forgetting. What else am I forgetting? Oh, Megavisions. Yeah, Megavisions. But thank you, Pratt. I appreciate that. I remember when I did that, some friends of mine that worked at those game magazines were not happy that I didn't draw their favorite character in the style in which they appear, like Odin Spirit is like my version of that character. Cloud is my version. And they were just like, you drew them wrong. I'm like, no, I drew them the way I would draw them. That's a concept that's lost on some people. I'll tell you, like, I think too, I did Breath of the Wild, like small, like as little like plushies and stuff. And people were mad at him Link bigger, but they had just had the Breath of the Wild cover like 2 issues before. And I was like, you know, like, come on guys, you know, but I gave Mario RPG a big piece on there, you know. I mean, who was doing that? I didn't draw Chrono in the Toriyama style. I drew Chrono my style. So, you know, some people, they don't get it, you know. But most people love this, so I can't complain. When I'm getting that complaint, I just shrug it off because I expect it. Those are the kind of, anytime you work on anything, if you know they're going to complain about something in advance when you're doing it, then that's okay. It's when they complain about something you never saw coming, you're like, wait, what? You know? That that's where I'm like, what happened? So I was expecting those complaints from some people. But again, I just feel as an artist, give them something only you could give them. Nobody else was going to draw and lay out that cover. You could have given those character counts to 100 artists, and none of them would have done what I did. I know this because recently they did that Spawn cover challenge, and I was waiting to see someone draw like me. It didn't happen. I was shocked. There's so many great entries, but nobody drew like me. I figured there's just a billion people on the planet. Statistically, there's another me out there somewhere, but for good or for bad, this could really blow up on my face. You suck so bad, you know, like, it is possible, you know, I'm barking up the wrong tree, but, you know. If you're gonna bet on anyone, bet on yourself. Like when they gave me Dungeons and Dragons, I was like, well, I'm not drawing Dungeons and Dragons. No one's going to know what that is. So I just put in the book. I put in the TSR manual. There's Dungeons and Dragons. Now you get it. That is lost on some people. You know, they think that doesn't count. Like, you only put the book in. It doesn't. No, that's what you remember. Be honest. Johnny says, the other artist who cool with you is a work in progress. No. Brandon does his own thing. You know? You know, when Brandon is left to his own devices, his art's very angular, very... He definitely has his own thing. I just try to lead him down the path of, like, he still needs to learn control over his shapes, you know? And that involves... He needs to do deep dives on construction. And I've given him the videos, but it's up to him to do it, you know? And I really think... I've told him, I think he should just take a year of not drawing any fan art and just focus on this stuff. So, he's not my apprentice. He's my friend, and I help him as much as I help anyone else. But I want to be very clear on that. Like, he is not my apprentice. He's not my, you know... I would never train anyone to draw like me. I do not believe in that. At all. So... I try to find out what are they accomplishing, and I try to help them accomplish the best version of what they're trying to accomplish. And so I think Brandon, in his heart, wants to create something closer to Capcom art or something, you know. But in Jim Mahfood, somewhere between that street art and the video game stuff. But he needs to. You know, there's this thing, you gotta do a certain amount of work, and there's a certain amount of work that he'll do once and then not do it again for a couple years. And I'm like, you're not getting any younger. You know, like, I really, from 2001 to 2005, while I was in college, there was a 4-year period. I didn't do any of that stuff. I had a couple fan art pieces here and there just to see where I was at, but it was all learning how to control lines, learning construction, how to draw from center, how to draw any perspective from center architecturally, you know, the same way Scott Robertson would. All technical stuff. And then had to recompile that back into my illustration. Then I ran into a whole nother set of issues, which was carpal tunnel, like physical fatigue, right? So, how did he be? But he became my friend. We met at Wizard World in LA in 2007. He just happened to be sitting next to me, and he kept telling people he was a t-shirt artist. And at the time, I was working in t-shirts, and I was like, "Where do you work?" He said, "Well, I just do them by myself." Now, he swears to this day that never happened, but I had my buddy Joe was sitting right next to me, and I'm like, "Joe, you remember Brandon when he was there?" And he was talking about being a t-shirt artist, because we were looking at one another like, "This guy's a t-shirt artist." Because I didn't believe him, and he's like, "Yeah, I remember that." I'm like, "Right." Brandon swears that never happened. So Brandon has real selective memory. Lauren says, "You've always given me solid advice. Grateful for you." Oh, thanks, Lauren. You know? So, you know, you're a great artist. You really are. You know, and you're just trying to find a way to be expressive in this industry, and it is not easy, especially being a parent. I'm not a parent, and you know, that's just the way the chips fell. And so I have a lot of respect for people that have to handle raising a kid and trying to do art too. That's 10 times more difficult. I got a Brandon. It's kind of a man-child, you know. But I mean, I've had friends that take on, you know, other artists, and they just train them to draw like they would draw. And I'm like, you're not helping anybody with that, I think, you know. So you can give them advice, and you can point them in the right direction, and you can give them drawovers, but at the end of the day, if you walk away and they can't do it, then did they learn anything? I don't think so. You know. I don't think so. I mean, as you see here, I don't draw like this anymore. So why would I train anyone to draw like me when I'm constantly adjusting what I do? Interesting, I did all gold and then I'll do red. That's interesting. I don't know if I do it that way now. I do that in color pencil, but not all of it. Like, I know where the hot spots are. Then again, that's not true, because when I want a warm red, you need to put... Yeah, all right. Interesting. Interesting. But it's always good to look back at your older stuff. Like, what was I doing? I would definitely give her tiny feet now. I wouldn't give her big boots. Face would be totally different. And the hair would be a much more solid shape. For certain. Prop Pigments. That's funny, isn't it? We artists can draw fan art and create original characters and designs on the spot and brainstorm. When it comes to the workout portion of art and study, it's grueling. Yeah, and I constantly do workouts on my own, and we're definitely going to do some of that sketches. I'm call it sketches at breakfast or lunch or dinner whenever I have time to do it. But I definitely want to do more workouts that way, you know. But I'm constantly doing it on my own. To be honest, when I draw caricatures, that's also working out different face shapes without having to, you know, work on any one popular. I can just work on a face and then work out different face shapes. But you see how that immediately warms up the red? That's why I did that. So a lot of these like alcohol markers and even color pencils, their reds can fall flat. They look a little dead. But if you layer it over a warm color, you get a warmer red. Shocking, right? Johnny says, I want to tackle Psylocke again. Let me know if you're doing commissions come July. I'll be in full con season. Know where my money is at. Oh yeah. I'm at some point, man. I want to definitely go back to doing some sketch covers or 8x10s. So something a little more manageable in size, because the 11x17s just take too long. I was hoping to do a whole bunch of X-Men stuff to coincide with this cartoon, but the comic is full time, you know? And I'm putting so many lines into this comic. So many lines, Johnny. Johnny asks, do I already know the price range? I'll do my, kind of don't, but I'm gonna make certain it's affordable. It's reasonable for me and reasonable for everyone else, you know? So, I mean, I could jack up that price if I wanted to, because now I'm all, you know, published, but no, I want to make it fair to everybody, you know? So, what I'm gonna probably do is do a couple on my own and kind of see what that process is like, time-wise, and then I'll average that out, you know? So it's comparable to like Eddie Nunez and stuff, you know, I'd say around there. In terms of pricing. Cool. Bring it up. Yeah. I'm gonna do some tests, and I've done some X-Men stuff a couple times for a guy named Jared. He's a good backer of mine, and like I did some redraws in my own style, like the Jim Lee cards and stuff. Like did Omega Red. They were just pencil. I did Omega Red and Gambit. They were just like pen and pencil sketches. So I'll probably take those to an 8x10 color pencil or a marker on tonal paper. Gotta figure out which way. You know, I'll come up with examples, plus a red pencil, you know, an ink version. So. Yeah, but Lauren showed me some work she's working on right now for the Phantom, and she's doing an excellent job. You know? Anytime you could take a classic character like that and add a little something new to it, you know, in the right direction there, Lauren. Excellent job. This has just gone off the print. There's a lot of people surprised I got offered the job. Myself's not the fan. It should be. I mean, there's a guy who just did a Popeye comic for King, and that came out really great too. I think these older properties should be picking up people with awesome styles, you know, that, you know, aren't in the classic, just to add some freshness to them. The Popeye comic that guy did was pretty awesome. I think what you're doing is pretty great too. So. Smart on that editorial team. Mm-hmm. I tried to get way more adventurous with Richie Rich when I was on that, and they were like, no. So Lauren calls it the fan base in Australia and Aussie is insane. Very low. Awesome. Good. I'm glad to hear that. You should take some of your poses and stencil them out and do big graffiti spray painting stuff. You know, I can't do spray painting, big murals, but you know, just sign you up for some more work there. Lauren says someone raised doing the Phantom like animated Batman, which is smart. I don't know if younger readers would get that, you know? I know what you mean. The Bruce Timm thing's kind of for us. Honestly, I wonder what the Phantom would look like in a Toriyama style. I mean, even the new Batman Cape Crusader cartoon doesn't really have that Bruce Timm look, which I think is a mistake. So, I don't know. We'll see. So given the success of the new X-Men cartoon, maybe it should look more like that. You know? I think what you're doing is pretty dope. You know? There's just got to be more room for cartooning that's in the teens versus the kids or the adult, you know? Of course, I'm biased because that's basically how I draw. So I'm sort of like, you know, just selling my own philosophies on art. I'm a little compromised. Love to see the Phantom in a Chris Falusi's. I know his name is verboten, but given the recent horrific news at Nickelodeon, like that whole studio had issues. But you know, in that more, let's say Bob Camp style. How about we use that? The Bob Camp. We'll give Bob the credit because Bob was one of the best illustrators ever. That dude could draw in anyone's style. Even a Samurai Jack style. Ooh. See, this can go on and on, Lauren. This can go on and on. Look, when your character can work in any style, then you've created a good character. Put it that way. Like, I actually like that Thundercats Roar art style and the animation. The writing wasn't so great, but I like that art style. I always wanted a Ghostbusters cartoon that looked like that. What's Rob? I'm just signing you up for all kinds of stuff. Yeah, just keep drawing how you draw. That Candy art style from the 2D Clone Wars cartoon. I'm a huge fan of that. It's a shame they ditched it. I think that stuff looks far better than the 3D. Far better. Johnny just checked up Lauren's stuff on Instagram, the martial arts. 2 L's. Lauren's great. Anytime someone goes, "Ooh, what artist do you follow?" I follow Lauren, I follow Gangfeather, Ashley, I follow Megan Hetrick, I follow Bengal, I follow Derek LaFuente, Jorge Corona, I follow Derek Laufman's great, Otis Frampton or Fampton? Never good with his last name. Otis is great. Yeah, dude, Lauren's awesome. Definitely fun. And you know, she paid me once, so she's good people. You put money in Robert's pocket, I will always I will always promote you. Put a few moolahs in my pocket. I did that cover though for her. I didn't really have my inking style down now, so I was just using my semi-opaque edge lines. Now it's like I know how to do all that, my modern inks, and then I would still do the background the same way. But where are we at? Did it loop? No, I didn't loop. I'm doing white highlight. I'm gonna try and get this, let this go, and then I'm gonna go make dinner. I'm almost done with this. And then the old white highlights. Johnny, I'm doing what I can do with the music, you know, like whatever doesn't get YouTube, doesn't get me into YouTube jail. I would definitely have a spot blacks, like definitely would add blacks. I know how I would do that, especially on like the ribbons and stuff. This was a long session though. This was like a full day. Not good when you're doing commissions for a full day. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. You know? Thanks, Johnny. Really appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out and everything, too. Thank you for the moolahs, man. We'll be back on later tonight. I'm gonna do the Logan saucy. No, the Hulk. I'm gonna do some saucy. I don't know which one it is yet. I don't think the Logan one rendered, but I have some old Batman sketches and I have a Hulk sauce. I'll figure out which one I want. You have a good weekend, buddy. All right. I think that's a good spot. Alrighty. Alright, everybody. Johnny, thank you so much for all the super chats, dude. You're the best. And Lauren, thank you so much for hanging out. Definitely check out Lauren's art on Instagram, the martial arts, 2 L's. And I'll be back in about 2 hours or so. And we're gonna do some saucy art while I continue to work on this spawn. I will see you all then. Thanks for hanging out. I gotta get to the mute. Where's the damn? Where did it go? There it is. There it is. Hit pause on that. And then I gotta hit the button. Ready, here we go. Here's the button. I hit the button. It worked. The show is over.